Okay, today's session that I would like to present is all these. Oh, okay. How to make your life easier using tools as either as an administrator or a system customizer or even as the developer. So wherever working in the whole Power Platform, especially in the Dynamics 365 model-driven apps and this area. Using tools will make it your life easier. So Jonas Rapp, the developer of the FetchXML Builder, he said, no, if you're not working with the tools, you are just working way too hard. So it's important to make your life easier. And you don't know what you don't know. So it's important that you find out what's available out there. And so that in case if you encounter this kind of scenario, you can make use of these tools and make yourself life easier. So in case if there's anyone who's joining this meeting who doesn't know me, my name is Linn, and I'm Microsoft Business Application MVP. I'm currently working as a technical architect at Delta Insights, and I'm currently based in the Wellington, New Zealand. So my main focus is the Dynamics 365 Power Automate and Power Apps. So you can see me blogging a lot about Power Automate or even the Dynamics 365 in my blog post. So you can follow me on my Twitter or you can go check out my blog post. So other than work and stuff, my hobbies are like playing games and watching anime. So if you have any similar interests, you can have a catch up and talk about it at the next Power Platform Happy Hour, whenever it is. Okay, before we start talk about today's agenda, there's a link, the QR codes. You can scan it or you can go to this link to download this Power presentation slide in case if you're not joining the whole session or there are some of the slides, there are some hyperlinks related to the more information about tools. So you can download the presentation slide and you can just check out more details. So the first part is just more about talking about the XrmToolBox. So I believe like 90% of these attendees are aware of this XrmToolBox. Just in case if anyone not aware, just a little bit of basics about it because like most of the tools that I'm going to talk about are within the XrmToolBox tool. And I split the section into 3 parts. One is for the administrator, another one is for the system customizers, and the last one is for the developers. So if you're just administrator, you can just attend the first part and you can enjoy the rest of the day. So the session will conclude with the Q&A session. So if you still have any questions, you can stay up till the end of the session. So as I mentioned just now, if you're not aware of the XrmToolBox, you should be because this is the tool that is ultimate set of tools for all this Microsoft Dataverse. If you're working with this Microsoft Dataverse and the Power Platform area, all these developers from around all the community throughout the whole world are just building tools on top of XrmToolBox framework. So if you just go to the website xrmtoolbox.com and download it, and you can also check out the documentations, especially if you're a first time running the tool. For the users, there are some instructions around the installation of the toolbox, especially after you download it in the Windows, you need to unblock the zip file before you extract it so that when you run the tool, it will run without any issue. So for first-time users who are connecting to the environment, you can check out this documentation there. Here are all these connection methods available for a tool. So you just click on the connect and create a new connection. So my favorite is the OAuth or MFA authentication. So that is where you can log in with the accounts, which are even enabled for multi-factor authentication. So if you click on that, you will be asked for a organization URL, environment URL, and then in the environment, you can click on the next dialog is you can just you can either generate this application ID and generate it, or you can use the click on this dialog and just generate the values. So after that, you just populate the username, and once you connect it, and you will be asked for a password. After that, it will be successful, and you will be asked to name the environment, and you can even set the background color just to differentiate between different environments by setting the environment highlights. So the next easy connection method is the Microsoft Login Control. So similar to the other one, so you just click on the default configuration and open the Microsoft Login Control. Then it will open up the Microsoft Login dialog. So if you are on-prem, you can select the on-prem settings. But if you are on Microsoft Online, you can select the Dynamics 365 Office 365 and check for a display list of available organizations. And in the advanced, you can just fill up the username and password. So once you log in, all these environments will be populated, and you can select from one of those the one that you want to connect. And the last step is the same. You can just name the connection, and then you can just set the environment color and background. So this is just a reminder for all the users who are new to the XrmToolBox or any tools in general, or even all existing users. There's a way to appreciate the tool developers by donating them. So in XrmToolBox, if you go to the Help menu, there's two menus. One is donating to the XrmToolBox tool developer, the whole tool with Tengi from French, and another one menu would be for a specific tool. So in this case, it will be the for FetchXML Builder, and clicking menu will donate to the developer of this FetchXML Builder Units rep. So it is by using these tools, if it saves your time, saves your development time or saves your administrative or customization times. So time is money, right? So if it does save your time, so you just show some appreciation by buying some coffee, by donating $5, $10, any amount will do to contribute to the tool developers. Okay, I'll just start off with the tools for administrators. So the first tool is the user settings utility. So this tool is useful for changing the user settings for another users. So if you're an administrator and you're one of the users, the new user is onboarding, you just want to set some settings for these users. You can use this tool to set the number of records per page, or even the time zone if it is not setting correctly, or even the format language. You can set all these things using this tool. So another tool is the environment comparer. So what does this tool does is if you have all these reference data in the different environments. So you have reference data in dev environment, UAD environment, and production environment, and you want to transport from one environment to another. So you can use this tool to do it. So for example, here I just want to check for these two particular environment entities, GHR and the group. And if I do this comparison, so the tool shows which reference data are exactly there, but which one is missing in the target environment, which one is missing in the source environment, and which data are there in both of environments. For example, this particular one, it is showing as a $sign, but in the target environment, it is S. So you can visualize this information and you can just try to, either you want to override it or you just only copy the missing ones. You can do all these actions by checking these things. So you can do it by, once you select which actions you are going to take, the next action is to just apply. It will show the number of actions spanning for it, and you can just apply all to the for all the actions that you selected just now. So if you don't want this complex kind of scenario, if you just copy it, you can use this data transporter tool. It's also similar to, but it can only do for like, it cannot show the matching and all these missing ones. But what you can do is you can select the table and you can also filter. So for example, this one is only showing going to copy the active ones, but be aware that this one is only accepting the filter for filter tag of the FetchXML, which is not the whole FetchXML, but because if you copy the whole FetchXML, it will not work. So that's one of the issues that I encountered when I first used this tool. And once after that, you connect to the target environment, and then you select whether you are going to create, or if there is any difference, you going to update, or if there's any missing one, you're just going to delete from the target environment. So you can set these and you can transfer this data. So it also supports the transferring of the end-to-end relationship. So if there's any master data, reference data, and that you want to copy, which has an end-to-end relationship, you can also use this tool. So the next tool is not just about, these tools are more about the reference data, not for transactional data, but this next tool is more about updating, importing the transactional data, any data in the Dataverse in general. So what this tool does is, it is just enhancing out-of-the-box Excel imports. In out-of-the-box Excel imports, you can just export it from the Dataverse. And if you have those GUIDs intact, you can update the data values and re-import the same Excel file. But what is lacking is it cannot do as if you want to update the existing data, it cannot update without the GUID. Let's say if you have any data, Excel data coming from the other systems where the ID is specified as a different text column, but you cannot go and update it using the out-of-the-box Excel import. By using this data import tool, you can specify what would be the key. So if you import the Excel, it will show up all these columns in your Excel, and you can specify what would be the key, what would be the unique identifier for this Excel, and you can map it with this one of the columns in the table that you selected. And after that, it will match the records using this column, and it will just going to update it, the existing records. So you can have a different actions like in create, update, delete, or even you can do the upsearch. So if there's no existing record with this email, it will create a new one. If there's an existing one, it will just update it. You can also specify if there's multiple records found, with the same key, you can do what is you gonna do. So either do action for all records or you just skip that action. So, and there's also a lookup. So let's say this is commonly named as a lookup field. So you can map to the different table and specify which field in that table you are going to map. So this is more like the advanced version of the Excel imports tool. The next tool is the privilege discovery. This is useful when we're having this error. We're just going to find out which roles have this particular privilege. And also, if we want to find out, okay, we just want to have all the security roles to have the business unit or lower for read access to the contact. So we can specify contact and read access and see which roles have the read access, and then we can just go and quickly change those security roles. So the next one is the access checker. This is more useful when you're troubleshooting. So when we are having the user is able to see the record or able to write a record, which the user is not supposed to, then what we can do is we can just select, okay, so the user is able to see this account, okay, for this GUID, and which user we can select this particular user and see what are the privilege that the user access for this particular record. And all these reds are means no access, and the greens mean they have the access. So there are 4 types of access. So is the users have a security role, or it's because of one of the security roles, or because of one of the security roles in one of the teams that the user is in, or the record is directly shared to the users, or the record is related records. For example, its parent record is shared with the user and is shared with the cascades rule applies, and the user is able to do it. So this is for troubleshooting that purpose. And another one is for administrator to find out which tables have the most number of records. And the fast record counter is, as the name mentioned, is using one of the APIs in the Dynamics 365 Dataverse to count the records really fast. So just click on it and it just get the number. But since it's a fast way, the number may not be accurate. But if you get a ballpark number, if you want to get the accurate number, you can note down those tables, and you can use another tool called record counter. And you can use this tool to get and the count. So this one is using the traditional retrieve multiple API. And so it takes really long, especially if you have millions of records. So the attribute usage inspector. So just now, what I mentioned is more about the usage of the tables, right? So which tables have how many rows. But if you want to see how people are actually using the fields, you can use this tool. So let's say, imagine if in the user requirements, they should specify, okay, I want this field, I want that field. But when the system actually go live, nobody fills those fields because they are not really being used. So you can identify those fields, those columns using this attribute usage inspector. So all you have to do is select the table name and just see it will just load all the columns in that particular selected table. So you can also export it to the Excel, and you can do the further analysis. And if you want to query the data, normally the admins usually go to the advanced find. But if there are some of the functionalities which are not available in the advanced find, so for example, if you want to query the tables like the case resolution or a code close, or some even modern apps. Some of the tables are not available in the advanced find. In that case, you can use this FetchXML Builder tool to query those data. Or you can also query the complex data queries which are not available in advanced file. For example, this one, the query is either the full name of the contact contains sample, or its related account name contains sample. So we cannot group like the OR group for two different conditions from two different tables in the advanced file, but with FetchXML Builder, you can do it. So you can even find the records which doesn't have any child records. So you can run those complex queries using the FetchXML. So by default, the FetchXML Builder has all these schema names start with a logical name. So if you're not familiar with it, you can click on these options and show the friendly names. So that will allow you to show the names in the columns in the display name instead of those logical names. So another use of the FetchXML Builder, this is not for administrator, but more for functional consultant and technical consultants, is that we can use this one to convert those into, and there's a Auditor 4.0 web API, so you can generate the web API URL, or if you are the Power Automate, if you're building cloud flows with the Dataverse connector, you can use this tool to write a query and get all these parameters, and you can copy paste there. So that's a really handy. I always use this tool almost every day. So if you are somehow like good with the SQL, but not really good with the FetchXML, that's an option. You can click on the SQL query to view the query in the SQL. So you can just convert the whole query into the SQL, and you can even edit the SQL query in another tool called SQL for CDS. So if you open this tool, it will be something look like this. So this is pretty much similar to the mini version of the SQL Studio, where you can see the Object Explorer, the table, the environment that you're connected, and all these tables, and you can have these queries. So it's supported not only the select query, it also supports the insert update delete, but it doesn't do the direct SQL insert update delete to the Dataverse environment. What the tool does is it converts your SQL query into the supported API in the back end, and it call those create, update, delete call through the SDK. So you don't have to worry about doing unsupported queries by running this tool. So there's also support the DDS endpoint. So if you want to run the query through the DDS endpoint instead of the normal retrieve query, it's also supported. So it does have the IntelliSense. So just like how you get the suggestion of the columns names in the SQL Studio, and if you want to run the specific query, you can select this query and just run it without having to copy it into another window. And you can also run more complex queries over here in terms of you want to delete or update where the condition is somewhere in the related table. So that is really handy when you use it as a data patching tool in your environment, if there's any require. But if you are not really good with SQL queries, but you just want to do the data patching, what you can do is use the bulk data updater tool. So what the tool does is it's bulk update the data by you can just specify the FetchXML query, or you can build in the FetchXML Builder and bring it over here, or you can specify one of the existing views. So I want to run it for all active contacts, and you can select this view. And one of the things is it has a set fix. So set fix is simple. You just set the fixed value. But the calculate is really awesome too. So you just get the dynamic value from another column of the same table or one of the columns from the related table, the parent table, through the lookup. So you can specify these and you can just specify in this, he called it XRM token, and then just get the calculate value and update to this. So the touch is more like you're touching by updating with the same value. This is useful when you want to run the workflow or plugin or like the Cloudflow, which is triggered based on the particular flag, and you just want to rerun those processes by touching this column. So the set now is simple. It's just empty the value. So the other three areas is not just updating. It's just if you want to update the owner is under assign. The set state is updating the state code and status codes. And it can also delete. So it allows it's not bulk data updater, it also allows deletion of the records. So just like FetchXML Builder, you have the options to show it in the friendly names, or you can also filter these columns. So this one is more of if you have any classic workflow on the main workflow, classic workflow that you are running, you just run a rerun for a few records. So it's not a simple data patching, but you want to do a complex one, which is updating the related records. You can have this tool to run the workflow, classic workflows for a specific FetchXML query or a specific view. Okay, so the next tool is not part of the XrmToolBox, but it is more in the browser extension. And it is not just for administrators, it's for system customizers as well as for developers. So I believe this is probably the most famous, the most used tool, well, browser extension tool. So this is the level up to call. So it's available on Chrome, Edge, and the Firefox stores. So once you install it, when you get to the Dynamics 365 or model-driven app environment, you can click on the browser extension to open up this. So let's say, for example, the logical names. When you click on it, it will show the field names, the logical name of all the fields, as well as the section names and the deb name. So it's easier for developers to just copy it without going through the backend form designer. So the next one is quite controversial functionality, which is called God modes. And as the name suggests, if you have any disabled fields or mandatory fields or hidden fields, if you click on it, it will just enable all the fields and make all fields optional and show all the hidden fields. So it's just more for troubleshooting purpose, and as well as for it is just for testing. When you just build a test data, you cannot run the whole process, and you just want to populate the disabled fields with just some quick data. You can do it, but if the audit is there, so whatever you updated will be audited. So you cannot use this tool to do some shady stuff, just to fix your data.
Linn, can you hear me? I think we might have lost the audio.
Cannot hear you, Linn.
Okay, I can hear other people, but I think I can't hear Linn either.
Same problem on my side.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just me.
Let me see if how can I get to Linn? Maybe he can. Let's try again. I muted him. That's not helpful. Linn, we can't hear you. No. Hopefully he'll be able to see us. We can't hear you. That sounds better. Now we can hear you.
Hello, Rami?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. So until
right.
what point did you hear?
All right. So 5 minutes after you started. No, I think the last 2 minutes.
Yeah. So yeah. So it's more around the impersonate. So this is more useful for testing as impersonating as another user to test what that particular user see. So you can log in as the user and see replicate the issue that the user reported to see if it is how you can replicate the issue. But don't worry, this impersonation requires specific privilege in the security role, which called impersonate as another user. So you don't have to worry about normal users logging in, installing this browser extension and installing its browser extension and impersonating as another users to create the different junk data. Other than these 4 tabs, that if you click on that particular corner there, it will open up this menu. And if all these informations, you're just showing the environment details and stuff, but one of the things is showing the entity metadata. And entity metadata, you can see the entity logical collection name, which is useful for the users, the consultants who are building cloud flows to populate the lookup data. Or if you use just want to see the metadata browser, you can install another extension called Metadata Browser, and which is used, which can show all these metadata for this logical name. And I also use this tool sometimes to show the attribute logical name, especially when the fields are in the header or the fields are in the business process flow. So this is useful instead because with the level up to, I cannot click on it because these flyover files will be cascaded. And in the browse metadata, you can see all these table entity set name and all these attributes metadata. So that's all for tools for system admin. I'll proceed to the next section for tools for customizers. So the first one is the attribute factory. So if you ever like have a lot of tools, a lot of columns to be created, so this tool will be handy. So you have just write out your columns in the display name, schema name, and you just specify all these parameters. You import it and you process these tools. So the tool will create those columns and add to the solution. So the polymorphic lookup is currently available as preview and not available to be created through the UI at the moment. So if you want to create it, you can use this tool to create the polymorphic different lookup. So for example, I have a case scenario where I just want to have a lookup to the contact or also the users. So in that case, I can use this tool to create a polymorphic lookup before it is available in the maker portal, but only use it in the production when the feature is available for GA. So that's just keep in mind. So as the tool also give a warning that the polymorphic lookups are still in the preview. So this is the recent tool available, Dataverse format changer, and the previously once we set the data type of the column, you cannot change it anymore. So all these data types are actually in the classic designer. These are just part of the formats. However, once we create it, it will be disabled and we cannot change it and except date and date time. So with this data new API available by Microsoft, you are able to change these formats, but it's still not available in the maker portal yet. So what we can do is we can use this tool to update the field. So in the recent scenarios, I had to create multiple columns, which were previously a single line of text, and the users want to show it as a multi-line text. So I had to change in the text area. So, but if you this is only for changing of the format, but if you just want to totally change the data type, what you can do is you can use this attribute manager to change it. So this one is useful when you want to change from the local option set to the global twice, or string to the, if you want, even change from the string to the twice, but you have to have a mapping file so that it can automatically migrate the data. So what the tool does is it just creates the temporary field, and it just replaces on all the dependencies like the forms and views and other places, and it just delete the and then it just copy the data into the temporary field, and it just create the normal field and migrate from the temporary field and delete the old field. So you don't have to worry about removing it from the forms views, publish everything, and just create a new one. And that's gonna be a lot of headache for recreating the field. But by using Attribute Manager, you can just do it pretty quickly, easy. So you can also delete it, and the column, the field being used in multiple places using this tool as well. So this is the custom attribute name checker. This is for especially if your team has a standard naming convention that you want to follow. So let's say the lookup should end with ID, the twice should end with code. Then you can use this tool and select the solution to analyze how many columns are valid, but how many are missing. So for example, one of the attributes that I created with new underscore, so it just highlights and show that. So as an customizer, if you want to change the audit, everything in the one place, you can use this Audit Center. So you can enable the audit settings without going to the system settings. You can add multiple tables to enable the audit, or you can also specify which columns in the selected table will be audited. So, but the only thing is once you change everything over here, make sure you have to put it in the solution just in case, if you're, so that you can just copy across all these settings to the different environment. And when we do the customizations, most of the time, when we do this views, we just have that we just updated one view, but which are not consistent with different views. So we can use this view layout replicator to select the view and replicates the layout, the columns into the different views. So, and some of the times, one time I have to change those columns fields from the single line of text to multi-line of text. And I found that I had to go and click and do it multiple times in the form designer is really inefficient. And if you're really good with the FormXml, you can use this tool to update the FormXml directly. So what it does is basically you can just update the XML and update and publish. So it's way faster than you export it, update in the customization XML, and re-import it back. So this one tool is useful. So currently, we're now able to update the command bar in the preview. If you go to the make.preview.power apps, and if you update the model in the preview mode, and if you select the table, and there's an option to edit command bar preview. But it only allows you to add and modify the new command buttons, but the support for the legacy button is not supported at the moment. So you can use this ribbon Workbench tool. So I hope most of us are familiar with it, and this tool to update the ribbon or command bar buttons. So you can use this tool to show, hide, and all this stuff. The in-app notification, this is coming, the new feature, but it is a bit hard for some of us to build out that JSON data body. So you can use this tool to style all the details of the notification. or even add the actions. So you can add all these URL or available actions and using this tool to build it, and then you can get the code for Power Automate or JavaScript, whichever you're using. And sometimes when you are going to delete the tables and you want to find out what are the dependencies, and you can use the dependency checker from the out-of-the-box Solution Explorer, but you cannot export it. But if you have multiple tables, what you can do is you can use this Dependency Identifier tool, select the multiple tables, generate the dependencies, and once you are there, you can export the list into the CSV or Excel. So as Rami mentioned just now, there's release wave 2 is coming, and part of that is one of the things deprecating out of the box some of the custom controls. So you can find out what custom controls are being used in your environment by this PCF Usage Inspector, and you can find out, and it shows all these uses, and you can go and remove it from your form. And if you don't have any proper ELM process to deploy the solutions from one environment to another, you can use this solution transfer tool. So what it does is you can select connect to the source solution environment, connect to the target environments, and you can select the solutions, and you can just publish it. So that will save you from exporting and waiting and importing, and then publishing. So the tool will just do if you specify export as managed or unmanaged, or if you are going to publish the solution. But if you're going to use this tool, I just want you to extend the service time out, because exporting the solution sometimes may exceed the 2 minutes default time. So it may be exceed, and your process will fail. So if you want to merge the two solutions from into another, so you can use the solution component mover. So let's say I want to merge from this test solution into a temp solution, and I just select all these components that I just want to move it. And another one is just to beautify your environment by setting the icons for the tables. So it is useful if you want to do it in bulk. So you can just load the whole solution, and you specify which table will map to which icon, and then you can just publish, edit, or everything, and then apply and publish and do everything in bulk instead of doing it one by one. So you can also import it at the images over here, but you will not be imported as in the folder, Voucher folder icon, the Voucher folder part. So you can do it in another tool called Web Resource Manager, which I mentioned later. So other than these tools, the next tool is not XrmToolBox based. It is called the web-based call. It is cds.tools. If you go to the cds.tools, you will see this one. But you need to access this your website with the browser that you are just logging into your Dataverse environment, because once you click on any of this one, it would ask you for your credentials to allow this tool to access to the environment, and it will just ask you which environment that you want to select. So for example, I just want to see the Server Trigger Explorer, and then it would just show all these triggers for the plugins and Power Automate Cloud Flows. So that's all for tools for system customizers. So the next session is tools for developers, but even the first few ones, first two of those were still relevant to the customizers too. So this is also not the
Did we lose Linn again?
I think so.
Hey, Linn, can you still hear us? Hello. Linn? I think we're just getting on top of the hour.
Frozen, Linn.
Yeah. I can hear the others. I did get a message about low bandwidth quality. So I'm wondering whether the Wellington region is getting affected or something. Is it Netflix time?
It's another DDoS attack, guys. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, maybe.
Everyone,
Maybe.
it's Eliza here. or maybe his laptop died. I don't know. Just,
oh yeah, possibly. Yeah, I think the DDoS attack, that's all the kids watching Netflix at the same time and taking down the network. All right, I think it's time to end the session. Unfortunately, Linn couldn't conclude it, but it was quite useful. Hey, Linn.
Hi.
Just got you back.
Yeah.
So we're just concluding. Actually, it might be a good time to stop. I did notice that you did have a lot of slides in there. So the moment you put the QR code there, I sort of tried to download the slides, and there were like heaps of them. But you did cover quite a lot of tools. Did you count them? Did anybody count how many tools did we cover? That was heaps. So yeah, thank you very much, Linn. If you feel like there's a need for another session, we can certainly go and have a look at just running either half a session or another session just to cover the rest of the tools that you had in mind. But yeah, thank you very much for that. Guys, keep an eye on the upcoming events. So we've got the New Zealand Business Application Summit that will be scheduled for November. So we just finished the submissions and we got closed the call for speakers, and there's heaps of sessions. So we'll be spending this week and sort of early next week just looking at creating a schedule, and we'll start announcing the dates and all of that. So keep tuned. It will be on Meetup, so everybody will get notified. Linn, once again, thank you very much, and have a good evening, everybody, and talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
thanks, guys. Bye.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.